you know, how could they have possibly approved something so controversial without being it, button up to the, a belt, suspenders, and another belt, as we say on Wall Street? How could that happen, sir?
Well, you asked Naomi a question, and I want to give a shout out to her dog ate my homework metaphor. I think it was perfect. But you asked her the question about Paul Offit, and Paul Offit illustrates the case. Paul Offit is the senior vaccinologist. He's an endowed chair at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. And he's a long, long time employee of UPenn. UPenn receives massive funding from the royalties on both the Moderna and the Pfizer products because of the work of Carrico and Weissman. Both of those they've licensed that patent to both of those companies for the pseudouridine. So UPenn has a massive financial interest in advancing the vaccines and getting them to be sold all over the world. And just to put a pin in it, it's also UPenn that's closely tied to Biden and his little operation there, where apparently they discovered these classified documents. UPenn has a long history of being deeply embedded in all of this and receiving, by the way, massive influx of capital for these activities from the CCP. So Offit sits in a structure that has huge financial incentives to support vaccines in general, and in particular to support these vaccines. What we're seeing is the chronic long-term corruption of the entire system by financial conflicts of interest, and they come in a variety of subtle forms. And the FDA and the CDC turn a blind eye to these things. So that's where this is coming from. And it absolutely breaks open the whole story of how we've got here, because it revolves around the idea that antibodies are predictive of anything. And that's been clear from the outset that that's not true. Antibody titers are not predictive, but they've been able to substitute antibody titers basically by gaslighting everybody. And through not just gaslighting, but intimidation, like Eric Rubin's statements. Basically, you're stupid and I'm not, and I'm smart and I know how to interpret these data. In addition, with the boosters, what they did with these data is say that, well, we see a short-term elevation in antibody titers. Antibody titers are extremely nonspecific. And what's been shown in the data subsequently is those titers drop very fast, but of course that wasn't followed and it wasn't reported in any of these, but the titers drop very fast. And as the titers drop, so does the protection. And when they drop below a certain level at about 2 months after dosing, then the recipients become more likely to become infected or develop disease or death. And this is the bombshell data from Cleveland Clinic that shows the more jabs you take, the higher risk for disease and death. Why would that be? Oh, I predicted, and the literature predicted from multiple fantastic laboratories all over the world, the problem is immune imprinting. And then there's this new data that shows that what this is doing is shifting to an entirely different category of immunoglobulin, IG4, which is not useful in providing protection at all. It's one that's associated with allergy responses. But the CDC and the FDA play the three monkeys. You know, they can hear no evil, see no evil, and speak no evil, and they just disregard these data. It is cherry picking of data is what's gone on all the way through, and then the disregarding of fundamental norms in vaccine development and testing and licensure, in which they have substituted hope for actual data, and they've substituted titers of antibodies which have not been proven to have any direct relationship with protection, in lieu of actual protection data. And now the cows are coming home. You know, the vultures are coming back to roost, and they're all scrambling to cover.